Welcome to the Livfiit Listens podcast, a safe space of growth, personal development, and overall wellness with your host, Olivia Catania. Diving into the realms of all things health, conscious living, mental expansion, and much more, this podcast is designed to help you evolve into your best self and live fit. Let's get into the show. Hey, you guys. Welcome back. Welcome to episode 20 freaking 2. 2 up in the crib. Anyways, things are different this episode. It's 5:20 p.m., which usually, and when I say usually, I mean every other single time I've ever podcasted ever, it's always in the mid-morning. 11 o'clock, that's my ish. But today I went to a farmer's market this morning. And so I guess we're just going to, vibe with the golden hour sunset vibe situation. I did, in fact, make a small cup of matcha, iced matcha, of course, because I needed a little pick-me-up for this, just a little bit. But hopefully I'll be able to sleep totally fine, but I am kind of sensitive to caffeine. But, it was a need today. It was a need. I'm going to take a little sip, ski. Oh, it's so great. Okay. So, I don't really know why, but for some reason I was because I feel I don't know, not that this isn't my normal content, but I feel it's not it's a little bit off lane, just a little bit. And for some reason I was I don't know, it just came over me. I was yes, I want to talk about anxiety. So, I asked on Instagram what you guys felt anxious about and things like that, and so many of you guys had so many responses. I think that was the most responses I've ever had to any question box ever. So we're really going to dive into this. I think a lot of you guys are going to resonate, and I'm excited. I hope it helps you guys at least in one small way, hopefully more than that. But for what I'm grateful for, my gratitude, I'm thankful just for newness is what I have written down. Just newness of everything. I've been trying so many different new foods. I love exploring new places. I love that just everything still feels so new to me here. And when I find new places and stuff here, I just get excited every time. And it's just fun. Every single day I'm coming across something new that I didn't know about or didn't know existed or I didn't know was there. Whether it's as small as me noticing a new little restaurant or something like that. I just recently found out that there was a Whole Foods, which don't ask me how I didn't know this, but there's literally a Whole Foods 5 minutes down the street from me. And I was there's a whole freaking mall. And I was what? I had no freaking clue. And it actually was the same exact area that I was in my very first night here when I got poke for the first time. And I just was I literally didn't even know this existed, and it was literally right across the street, but it was nighttime at the time. Anyways, just it's so interesting. I just love being able to experience that, and just everything feels so exciting to me all the time. Like I said, I posted on my Instagram story what I asked you guys what gives you the most anxiety, what do you want me to touch on in this episode? And I just figured I'd read off a little list that I cultivated from your guys' responses, just so you guys can kind of see what else everyone else is struggling with as well. So gym anxiety was a big one. The future, talking to strangers, meeting new people and friends. Anxiety while traveling, making big decisions. Sometimes anxiety just from nothing, feeling overwhelmed by the different paths you can take. Food anxiety, which I want to do a whole entire episode on my relationship with food. I thought about that in the shower yesterday, and I was I actually could say I could talk quite a bit on that. So that's going to be a whole separate episode, hopefully soon within the next week or so. You guys also said overthinking specifically about old conversations, change in general, feeling everyone hates you, which why does everyone feel that? I don't know. I feel everyone feels that way a lot of the time for whatever reason. But so as you can tell, a lot of those things were kind of all over the board. Another thing was traveling alone. That was another thing that a lot of people said that gave them anxiety. And I guess I just feel I want to say I used to struggle with anxiety more so in the past than I do now. I don't want to say I don't struggle with anxiety, but it's very, very small, and I usually can kind of overcome it or work myself through it through mindful and conscious thinking, I guess. And I just feel previously it used to consume me a lot more until I've developed these honestly kind of simple mindset shifts. In my opinion, I'm going to share it with you today, but it's really only one. There was really only one main principle that I realized that really changed the game drastically. And then there's other like little viewpoints that help me as well. I personally feel like anxiety, if you think about it, all anxiety like really comes from the need to control / the need to know. That was kind of the best way that I could summarize it especially when I was reflecting and looking back on this list that I made from your guys' responses. And a big one is really constantly feeling the need to control a situation. For example, when you guys are feeling anxious about the future, that's because you feel this need to control the outcome, to know what's going to happen, to make sure it's okay. Like, anxiety pretty much comes from the root of just not trusting life. To put it like very simply, like it comes from you lacking trust, like in very simple terms, and you trying to control the outcome because you don't trust that it's going to be working out as it should on its own. That same principle can be applied to like everything else in life. Like, it's like, for example, if you hire someone to clean your house, but every time you're constantly looking over their shoulder because you're worried to see if they did it right, if they're finished yet, did they get that spot, did they get that spot, but what about this, but are they going to do this? And then the person who's cleaning is going to be like, dude, let me kind of get through it, and then you can see it, like it's going to be fine. It's kind of that same principle like in life. Like, you have to just trust that you have to do what you can in terms of controlling your controllables and doing the best you can with your inputs. But in the terms of like how things end up and like in terms of your outputs, in this case, the future, that is something that is just out of your control. You have to let the cards play out at that point. You already controlled your controllables. You already were intentional with your inputs, and you just have to let the cards fall, see what comes out of it, and then move and pivot from there. But I just feel like so many people are anxious, but in situations where there literally is nothing even left for them to do anymore. There's nothing left other than to just be patient and wait for it to play out, and then take tangible course of action at the end of it when you actually know the new hands of cards that you're given. And people will just like sit being ridden with anxiety for absolutely no reason. Like, I just feel like anxiety is so unproductive and just a waste of energy, like a lot of the times, 100%. Because like I said, when people are just completely worrying about something that they have no control over in general, and then they're just spending the whole time worrying about it, and then when it doesn't go their way, now they're like stressed again because they're like, see, I knew this was going to happen. And then now they're, more stressed and worried because what they were stressed about happened, and now they're stressed again because now they're having to think about what they can do to fix the situation. It's like this whole mess, which I feel like makes it 10 times worse than it needs to be, I guess. And you guys know how big I am on mindset on here, just like how your perspective creates your whole entire reality. Like, what you think is what manifests into your reality. What your fixed viewpoint and perspective is what you're going to see, because that's what you're looking for. I don't need to say it again. Like, you guys know that's 100% a very core belief of mine. And so when someone is so anxiety ridden about things, to me, also the harsh truth is that you are looking through life through the glass half empty. You're constantly wasting your energy looking at all the things that could go wrong. The what if this doesn't work out, as opposed to hopeful thinking of what if this actually goes better than I ever imagined. And I always say a no is worth no more than a yes, meaning a negative outcome of a situation is just as likely as a positive outcome that could come out of a situation. So if that's the case, the probability is both the same. Why would we not be placing our energy, our hope, our trust, and our faith in the positive outcome actually coming out of a situation? And that's the whole thing with anxiety. Like, when you're sitting here anxiety ridden or wondering or being worried about what if this thing doesn't work out, or if they don't like you, or feeling super stressed about all these decisions or all these paths you have to take or decision you have to make, that's you consciously just choosing to look at life through the glass half empty of just feeling like this isn't going to work out. So that's why I'm feeling anxious about it. Because think about it. If you truly, to your core, believed and felt like it was going to work out, you wouldn't worry. You wouldn't have anxiety. But that's because there's something innate within you. There's some sort of perspective shift that you've adopted, a lens that you've chosen to look at life through, that has made you not trust that things are going to work out the way that they should, and for the greater good, in the way that they should for you. That's causing you to have this anxiety and being just ridden with worry. Understanding that has given me more of like a reason as to where my anxiety has stemmed from, and has given me more of a tangible, course of action to make a change at the root being my actual perspective that I'm looking at life through, to then be able to go into there, switch it, change my perspective, switch out the lens I'm looking at life through. And I've kind of inherently have been able to have a much more hopeful and trusting view of life since doing that. And also, you guys know I'm super spiritual. So it's kind of like back to that whole trusting principle that I keep talking about. Like I say, I identify as spiritual for sure. I do believe in a higher power, right? But more than anything, I believe in energetics. I believe in the flow of life. I believe in the unity of energy and the unity of life, and just that everything is in a certain flow to work out for the greater good and to seamlessly complete the whole. And so I just have this innate belief in me that everything is working out as it should. It's kind of hard for me to pinpoint exactly when that came about, but I just always believe that everything is happening for a reason. And if it doesn't make sense right now, it is going to make sense. And then if it feels like it's not working out, that's because it's not the end. I think there's a quote that's like, everything works out in the end. And if it's not working out yet, it's because it's not the end. Which I also don't really fully resonate with that, because I feel like it's always a continuous loop. Like life is a continuous process that's never ending. But I'm essentially just saying, like, I feel like we're always living in this wave. I'm getting off on a tangent, but I feel like we're always living in this wave. And so even if for a second it feels like, we're really worrisome, or a situation doesn't go our way, we might be on the lull of the wave, right? But it's always going to come back up. There's always going to be an upswing. There's always going to be positives. And that's what life is. It's just this continuous wave of good times, bad times. And that's what makes life. And that's what gives us the contrast to literally recognize. I feel like that's a cliche quote. Like, we need the bad to appreciate the good, which is so true. But like, literally, if you think about it tangibly, like, we genuinely need those lulls in the wave to give us the troughs, to give us the actual contrast, to be able to give life and create the peaks of the wave, or else there literally wouldn't, like, think about it, the wave would just be a line. There would not be a wave if we did not have the troughs. And that's kind of like the similar thing here that makes me not get so, feeling this like impending doom, or like having anxiety about quote unquote negative situations, because I know they're always conspiring for my greater good regardless. Even if it feels super shitty right now, if I'm in the trough, I know it's working out for my greater good, because I know eventually it's going to come into an upswing, and overall that wave is on an upward trajectory. And that's just because I believe in looking at life through the glass half full. I believe in the good in life. I believe in the I believe in the positivity in life. And I truly, have learned to respect the hardships and the less favorable situations to help mold me as a person, help me evolve as a person, just to give me help me be rich in experiences in life. Like, we are humans. The point of our experience here is to live the human experience. That's getting pummeled by the waves, and also being able to stand up and surf the waves. Like, that is feeling the lows and feeling the highs, and that's part of it. And I think fully welcoming the hardship and fully welcoming the beautiful, fun, happy times has made me not fear and worry so much about these less favorable situations, because it allows me to welcome everything, because I know that everything is helping me grow as a person, whether it's quote unquote good or quote unquote bad. And I guess what I'm trying to say, when you learn to appreciate both, you tend not to have so much anxiety and worry. You welcome it, because you're like, this too is also good for me as well, even if it feels uncomfortable. You learn how to be comfortable in the uncomfortability. And it sounds crazy, but like, when there's hardship for me now, or when I kind of have those worrisome thoughts, I don't even want to call them worrisome thoughts, but when I think like, oh wait, a less favorable thing could come out of this situation right now, I kind of am able to stop and, like I said, look at the possibility of a negative thing happening with a newfound sense of appreciation, because I'm like, this is going to help me grow and evolve as a person. This is going to help make me stronger, because I am positive that I'm going to be able to come out of this on the other side, because I always have, and therefore I always will. It's just an emotional and mental experience, but I will 100% get through it, just simply due to time passing. I will end up at the other side, and will have accumulated and gathered another experience, which will help be a tool in my tool bag, so that when I come into this situation again, I will know how to get through it even better and more efficiently. And I just have gathered another experience as a human that I could say I've gotten through. And it sounds, I don't know, like, now even just saying that now, I guess how much I've really realized, like, truly learning to accept and welcome and see the beauty in that hardship takes so much of the anxiety away from the potential of hardship coming in, because you know you can get through it, and you know that there's actually positivity in it because it's working for your greater good always as a human. And another tangible thing that really helps me with any anxiety that I have is I will ask myself questions. I do this even if I'm feeling upset about things or if I'm feeling overwhelmed. I really have a lot of inner dialogue, in case you guys can't tell, but like I will consciously be talking myself through things 100% a lot of the times, and especially with anxiety. And I want you guys to do this as well, because it's something that really freaking helped me so much. And because a lot of the time our anxiety, like I said, are us trying to control the situation, which it's not in our control when it's our output. You just have to let it go. Or B, it's us looking at life through the glass half empty, and we're just being pessimistic and just thinking that a negative outcome is more likely than a positive outcome. Or C, it's just these preconceived stories that we're telling ourselves that are not true, but it's stories that we're feeding ourselves, or stories that we've adopted from other people that we've accepted, and we're deciding and choosing to live with that story that's causing to have us anxiety. The thing is, a lot of the times those stories are just illusions. They're stories you're telling yourselves that are not the truth. For example, someone said feeling like everyone hates you. That's not the truth. That's a story that you're telling yourself in your head, whether you were bullied growing up that made you feel like no one likes you, your sibling was rude to you and said that no one likes you in the family, which made you feel like no one likes you in person for friendships, that sort of thing. These are all just subconscious programmings and beliefs that we've adopted. There's stories that we were telling ourselves that are not the truth. And after all, it's all illusion. Honestly, everything in life is an illusion, because it's truly just everything you tell yourself and your mental standpoint and everything. But asking yourself questions and digging deeper into these stories and illusions will really help you kind of pull the plug from these, anxieties that may seem so scary. So for example, if I'm nervous about flying alone and I'm like, oh gosh, like what if I miss my flight? Okay, what if you miss your flight? What's going to happen? Okay, I'm going to have to go talk to the front desk lady or the gate agent, and I'm going to have to try to get a different flight. Okay, so what's going to happen if you go talk to her? Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe hopefully I'll be able to get another flight, but who knows? Like I might need to spend the night. What if there's not a flight for another day? Okay, then they'll probably go put you in a hotel for the night. So then what? Okay, but then I'm going to have to try to find a shuttle, and then blah, blah, blah. Like, I know this could make me probably just saying this might make someone anxious already just thinking about it, but you'd have to remember kind of what I said previously. You literally will get through it. Even if it's just uncomfortable. Like, that's a lot of times we just feel anxious and anxiety because we're thinking about something that would make us uncomfortable, because our subconscious likes to keep us safe by doing what is familiar. And we just don't like change. So if we're doing something that's different or that causes change for us, we obviously don't like it, and our subconscious mind is going to reject that and make us feel like it's bad. When really it's not. It's just something different. It's just a different experience, which the sooner you can become excited and happy and welcome in having different experiences, I feel like the sooner you will be free from this anxiety, and also just the more elevated and free-spirited you'll be as a human overall. Side note. But I guess just like when I used to think about that, like, oh no, what if I miss my flight and then I have to stay in a hotel? It's like, okay, what if? Okay, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to be able to talk to someone who's going to help you. You're going to take the shuttle. You're going to be able to stay at the hotel the next morning. You'll get there. Like, even no matter how many days it takes, no matter how many little frustrated moments that it takes, you will get there in time. And I know that may not even be comforting for some people, but that was so comforting for me, because I guess previously when I had anxiety about things, it's kind of like I felt like, oh no, I'm going to miss my flight and then the world's going to end. Like, that's kind of how I used to think about things. Or like, oh no, this is going to happen. And then I just would think like, that's it, it's over. But like, it's so not true. Like, life is still going to go on. You're going to get through it. Like, it's just an uncomfortable temporary situation, but it's going to totally be okay. And the thing is also, back to what I'm saying about your perspective, it's only as scary as you think it is. So like, if you're like, oh no, I missed my flight, it's going to be this big whole thing and I have to do this. When you build it up in your head, you know the quote, attention goes where energy flows. If you build it up as this big, scary, bad thing that pisses you off, that's going to waste so much time. If you sit there and have that mental standpoint and build it up and puff smoke and think about all that stuff, it's going to feel really freaking shitty. But if you look at it as like, okay, I just missed my flight, it's not a big deal. If you don't give energy to it, it's not going to feel like a big deal. It's going to feel like a minor inconvenience. Or on the contrary, even better, if you can get excited and see the beauty of it and be like, okay, I guess, well, shit, we're going to stay another night in California. To me, that'd be freaking exciting. I love hotels. And it just would be another experience that you get to gather. So if you can even look at it as something exciting and be happy about, ooh, this is something new and different, and welcome it, like I'm saying, it's not going to feel so scary. Like truly just perspective is everything, and anxiety truly comes from the root of having a pretty negative and unfavorable perspective, in my opinion. That's essentially just tying a cement block to your foot and is just forcing you to see the negative aspects of any given situation. Like, to me, that's what anxiety is. It really doesn't do anything constructive, in my opinion, unless it's literally keeping you safe, I guess, from an actual dangerous situation. But overall, like, it just is such a low vibrational behavior that comes from you not trusting and trying to control the outcome instead of just trusting and letting the universe take you where it's destined to take you. And this is the thing that I really wanted to share with you guys. This little thing that I realized a couple of years ago, and for some reason it melted my anxiety away. Like, ever since, any sort of anxiety that I have, its magnitude and control over me has been so minimal, because I'm like, oh wait, nothing actually really matters. It's not a big deal if I say it's not a big deal. It's this simple concept. If you're anxious about something, like next time you're anxious about something, I want you to ask yourself this question. Are you and your loved ones still healthy and safe at the result of this decision, after the result of this situation, at the end of this interaction, whatever it is? Okay, so if you're talking to someone new, a stranger, and you're having all this anxiety about the interaction with them, ask yourself, is this situation, is the end result of this situation affecting me or my loved one's health or life? And if the answer is no, then it is not a real problem. It is just a minor inconvenience. Okay, let me give you another example. I'm definitely an indecisive person, and it used to be even worse, especially throughout college. And someone also, people were sending in like it made them anxious about making big decisions. Here's the thing. If I were to think about, okay, should I make option A or option B? I used to be so anxiety ridden and again, feel like the world is ending if I choose the wrong choice. And then I thought to myself, is my life and health and my family's life and health still safe and at peace and not in danger? Yes. Then it really doesn't matter which decision I choose, because all that matters is all in well. And all that matters is not at any risk. And I feel like, again, it's so hard for me to explain, but like, for example, let's say you ended up choosing the quote unquote less favorable situation, or there was a consequence that you didn't know, that you didn't anticipate with a certain option that you chose. It's still always going to be okay. You're still alive. You're still healthy. Your loved ones are still alive. Your loved ones are still healthy. Those are the only things that matter. Like anything else, maybe you have to deal with another step now. Maybe it's going to cause, another month extension on you signing a lease or whatever. I can't even think of examples, but maybe, yes, it's going to cause, some more inconveniences, but that's all it is at the end of the day. It's not a real problem. They're just inconveniences that are going to be sorted out in due time. And if you look at it with a positive outlook and feeling like you can do it, like you can get through it, it's not a big deal. And it just has taken away so much anxiety away from making big decisions. I almost feel like that's hard for me to explain, because it's more so something that I picture in my mind. But it just has taken away so much anxiety from me that I just am like, nothing, like it's all going to be okay, because at the end of the day, I'm healthy, I'm alive, my loved ones are alive, and they're healthy. And so it's just like, that's all it is. Like, there's nothing to really stress about. If a decision you're trying to make isn't impacting those variables, it's going to be okay at the end of the day, no matter what, because you're going to figure out how to deal with the next obstacle, even if it's going to cause you to shift and pivot. Because you're sadly mistaken, you guys, if you just think that you're never going to experience road bumps in life. Like I'm saying, back to the wave example, we need those bumps in the road. We need those low points. We need that adversity. We need those hardships in life, and they're never going to go away in life. So the sooner you could welcome them, the easier it's going to be to allow you to actually work through them. And even to bring in like my spirituality component in here, like that's kind of how I touched on in the beginning of the episode. Like I just have this innate faith that everything is working out as it should. Like I just believe in, I don't know if synergy is the right word, but I always want to use it. I guess like the cohesiveness of energy in life. Like I just truly feel like everything is always working out as it should. Even if it's a shitty situation right now, it's for a greater purpose in the future, or even just to humble us as humans, because it's part of our human experience is to go through the highs and the lows. And so when you're sitting here like feeling like you have so much anxiety about something, you just need to lay back, surrender, and just trust and allow what's meant to be. Trust that you can't control every single little nitty-gritty detail in life, and that's okay, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Like sometimes you just have to let it go and leave it up to the universe. And even if you don't believe in a higher power, like at least I feel like everyone can kind of vouch for believing in the flow of life, of just like things are always working out as they should for your greater good. And you just need to remind yourself of that when things get cloudy. And like when things get cloudy and hazy and it gets hard and you're like, I don't know why this is happening, that's when it's the most important time for you to just simply trust, surrender, let go. And sometimes you just have to be patient and wait for the dust to clear. You got to wait for the dust to settle, to see the reason why, for it to make sense to you, to kind of see where the cards have fallen, for you then to be able to pick them up, see what you've been dealt again, and be able to make the next best play based on the new current situation. Also, a lot of people said how they were nervous about change. The sooner, again, that you can get comfortable with change, the sooner you'll be able to deal with change and not have so much anxiety about it. The very core, again, another quote, the only constant in life is change. Things are always flowing. Hear me out. I don't know if people are going to get me on this. This was another weird thought that I had that brought me peace, that kind of echoed this life principle that everything is constantly always changing. We will never have a same moment twice, right? This same moment right now, we will never get back again. As I'm currently speaking, I will never be able to say these words, record this episode for the very first time ever again. I just won't ever be able to. The moment has already come and gone. We are actually currently in the moment. We are in the moving vehicle, right? So every time it's constantly changing from when we're in this second to the next second to the next second. And the thought that I had that I was going to say is, one time I was at home in upstate New York. I was paddleboarding. I think it was like golden hour, I think. And I was looking up, just laying on my back. I was just taking deep breaths, and I was looking at the sky. And for some reason, it made me think about how so different that, like, just the sky is so different every day, unless it's like a clear bluebird day. But like the clouds are always in a different spot every single day. And even if you look up, the clouds are moving when you're watching the sky. And for some reason, it just really echoed to me that like everything is constantly changing. It's a constant that is happening in life. Like we are truly in this ever-going flow. Due to that like foundational principle of life, like you just have to learn to sink into that and be comfortable and find comfortability in that, because it's just crazy, because when you think about it, like these are such fundamental things of like the truths of life, yet for some reason as humans we feel so disconnected from it, and we think that like, no, nothing's changing. Like we're living the same day over and over again, when so many things that are so much bigger than us are constantly moving and are constantly in a flow that we are a part of. But I think we forget that we are part of that greater picture of the greater flow, because we're so small and insignificant in the greater flow of everything, I guess. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on that also really helped me with decision making was that, you know, a lot of people have a lot of anxiety of like, should I make decision A or decision B? The thing that helped me is because I always would think about, wouldn't it be nice if there was like a big book of answers? Like if there somehow was a big freaking book that we could open up and we could ask any single question that we wanted. Whether it's what you want to eat that day, or where you should go to college, or where you should live, or who your future life partner is going to be. And it would somehow have the answer in the book. I always thought about that. If like any question you have of a decision you should make, if there was a book that you could look it up. And the fact of the matter is there isn't. And that has really helped me, I guess, in terms of making decisions, because the thing is that no one knows what the right decision is. Literally no one. Not the smartest person in the world could know what the best decision is for you, because no one can predict the future, really. I always say that because I'm like psychics and tarot, but like, hear me out. Like, I just feel like no one really can know because all we have is the present moment right now. All we have is the present moment, and the only person who knows you as well, the only person who knows you the best is you. The only person who could hear your intuition the loudest and clearest is you once you tap into that. And so just telling myself that like, well, no one knows the right answer has made me feel so much more free to just choose freaking something. Choose something that feels the best in the present moment. Choose what feels right for me in the present moment. Choose the option that makes me happiest in the present moment while, considering the best that I could my future self. Just doing the best decision that I could possibly make right now for the future me and present me, and just going with it. Because like I said, no one knows the right answer. So there's no need to stress. It's because I guess I used to think of it as like a test. Is it A or B? Which one is the correct answer? And in an exam, there is a correct answer. And that's what would make me feel anxious because I'm like, what if I hit the wrong one? But what made me realize in life that no one has the right answer is that I really can't get it wrong. It's just you're going to make the decision, and whatever the outcome is going to be is the outcome. And then from there, you go from there, right? Then you will take your newly dealt cards, like I've been saying, and that's when you will pivot or make a shift of what the next move can be. But all we have is right now. All we know is right now. That's the best we could do, is act from a place of presence. And then from there, once you make your decision, you will make the next best present decision. And kind of just looking at it like that and taking it one day at a time in bite-sized chunks has helped me not feel so overwhelmed by decisions and not feel so much like I'm going to make the wrong decision and the world's going to end. It's kind of like there is no right answer, and that's the beauty of life. I know I said that was the last thing, but I also want to touch on how people say they feel anxious about nothing, because sometimes I feel that too. Like, I'm like, I don't know, I just feel anxious today. My small piece on that would be just to feel it. Let it come, observe it. Don't get consumed by it. You are not your anxiety. Try to create space. You are the observer looking at your anxiety. You are the experiencer experiencing the anxiety. You are not it. Create space, hold space for yourself. Ask yourself some reflective questions. Maybe, why are you feeling this way? Where is it stemming from? How is it making you feel? And just sometimes you just got to feel it and just trust and know that it's going to pass. If you don't feed into it and let it, give you your mind and thoughts all this anxious momentum to lead you down a bunch of anxious thoughts, just create space, just feel it, have grace with yourself. You're human. Sometimes I have plenty of underlying emotions that I don't really know where they're stemming from, but I just try to let myself feel them and let them go. Because usually it helps me when I find a cause of why I'm feeling that way, but sometimes I just don't have a cause. Not one that I'm really aware of. It might be super subconscious. And so I just feel it and hopefully then let it pass through so it clears out of my energy body, and I don't let it suppress so that it doesn't come up randomly again like it just did that time, So that's kind of everything that I really wanted to touch on here. It's crazy, but those few really foundational principles that I just shared here has really helped my anxiety tenfold, and just overall trust the flow of life, like I said, and just trust things and know it is going to be okay, and being very mindful and intentional with where I'm placing my energy, not feeding into anxiety-ridden thoughts, looking at life through the glass not looking at life through looking at life through the glass half full, looking at life through rose-colored glasses, that sort of thing. Like, all of those things help me so much with not feeling so anxious and having more of a hopeful and trusting view of life, which then sets me up to more freedom and just overall enjoyment of life. I don't worry so much about what people are thinking of me, because I'm just living my life, and I'm just trusting that me showing up as me is going to allow me to come into alignment with the right people, and I'm just trusting that they're going to see the beauty in me, the same beauty in me that I see in myself, all that sort of thing. Sometimes you just got to let go, surrender, trust, and allow. That's all it is. So a download actually from meditation this morning I had, it just came so clear to me. I wasn't even really thinking about anxiety. It just like a thought came into my head, and I was like, that is perfect. And the affirmation is, I surrender to my path. That's all it is. I surrender to my path. And I just loved it, because I truly feel like we're all on our own path. Every single one is so different. It includes the ups, it includes the downs, the highs and the lows. And it includes everything, even the situations that we don't know why they're happening, or even the situation that seems so shitty, they're on your path for a reason, and you are experiencing them for a reason, and there's so much beauty in every single solitary situation, whether it's more favorable or less favorable, and you just got to surrender to that and allow it and trust the universe and trust the flow and just let it happen, baby. So I surrender to my path. I just love it. Next time you're anxious about a situation, just tell yourself that over and over again, say it out loud. So yes, that's everything. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching or listening. I really, really hope this helped. I'm sending you guys so much love, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.